start by introducing yourselves and perhaps what major you had while you were here at the college, okay? We'll start over here.
Well, I'm Phyllis Penny, and I was at the college in 49 to 51, and I majored in history, eventually became a teacher.
Great, great. Thank you, Phyllis. Welcome back.
Well, she's practically a youngster.
Yes. I was thinking the same thing.
I was here in, I'm Jackie Garter. I was here in the fall of 44 and 45, and my major was dietetics. And of course, that entailed a lot of chemistry, and therefore I was with Miss Marlowe for quite a few sessions. Difficult sessions.
And you learned well, right?
Well, I don't know. Yes, I know a solution is a homogeneous mixture of two or more substances, one of which is molecular in size. And that was ingrained in me, my Miss Marlowe, because you had to. That's the only thing I remember.
Great. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Jack.
Well, I'm Jerry DeWitt, and I was in a lot of Jackie's classes. We've been friends since Grand Rapids Junior College. And my major here was home economics, and eventually I did graduate and I did teach. Not much home economics, because by the time I began to teach, it just wasn't being taught anymore. So I taught science, for which I'm grateful to Miss Marlowe, because I was also her lab assistant in that same chemistry lab. So we had a lot of good times, and they were very good mentors to us.
Oh my,
Yes.
they certainly were.
Yes, tell us a little bit about Miss McCabe and Miss Marlowe, how you knew them.
I don't really know how did we become such good friends with Miss Marlowe.
I don't either, but weren't we a home economics group?
Yes.
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 There were 6 or 8 of us,
yeah.
and so they took us under their wing, and they would invite us for lunch. And I have one funny story. We were all scared, of course, and we were sitting around the lunch table, and Miss Marlowe was our sponsor, so she was there with us. And Miss McCabe was in the kitchen. They didn't have help, they did it themselves. And she kept coming out and looking at us, and then she'd go back, and it turns out that there was a button under the carpeting, and why she was coming out was that somebody was pushing that button, which rang a bell in there that we needed attention, just in case you did have hired help. So we were young and dumb, and they showed us a different way of life.
And it was a good way of life, wasn't it?
Yes.
Well, I knew them because I knew Elizabeth Knapp from the college, and she was good friends with them, and we consequently became good friends. But I was also on the Women's League board at the college. I don't know if there is still such a thing.
No,
I doubt it.
But there is a room where we know that's where you met.
In fact, I remember that sitting in this room hemming curtains for the Women's League rooms at the college. And you had to hem those curtains right, otherwise you took out and started over again. But, and that started my relationship when I was at the college, but then we continued our friendship over years, to the point where they were at my wedding, and they came to my house when my children were born to see them, and then they invited me to bring my children here, and I was scared to death to bring my children here. Of course, all the beautiful things that are in this house, you know, bring little boys here was something else, but the Cocker Spaniels and my boys got along well, so it was all right.
Miss Marlowe gave me my first piece of sterling silver.
Is that right?
She started me out on my sterling silver.
Same thing with me. They gave me gifts.
And they gave me one also, and we're at my wedding also.
Yeah.
And my kids crawl all over these floors. My oldest son was old enough so that he could drive himself here, and he used to take care of their lawn. So we had a lot of history after college together. And I know what you mean, because I was afraid my kids would do something awful too. There used to be a carpet upstairs that was, you know, the carpets were wonderful, and it had a lot of animals in it. And that was one thing that my creepers could find, elephants and camels and things like that. And really, they were okay with kids.
They were wonderful.
And
with
if they were
boys.
okay with the kids cooperated too. So,
They wanted to obey. I mean, you know, you weren't going to.
well, yeah, but they weren't going to run wild.
Oh, no,
But they knew,
no.
But they knew how to expect children to be interested
that's
in
right.
what was on
Absolutely.
the carpet.
Oh.
And not the jade cabinet.
No, no. Oh,
Now, you told me earlier that you described them as mentors and how they taught you things beyond the classroom.
Oh, absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about those things that they would teach you by interacting with them.
I think mainly it was because, I mean, you know, we were born in like 26. We went through the Depression. You know, Jerry's father was a laborer. My father was a railroad man. And I think they just taught us a lot of things that we were not didn't know about.
Right. We didn't learn these things at home.
No, we didn't learn them at home because of the situation. And so a lot of these things, that's the way I feel about it, that they just taught us a lot of things that we just didn't know.
But they definitely were not snobs.
Oh, no, they were not. No, no, no.
But they wanted you to be able to fit in.
Be experienced in these
social
things.
settings
Yes.
and things like that.
Absolutely.
You talked about listening to the radio
I used to come
opera.
on, I think it was Sunday afternoon possibly, and sit on the porch with them, with a couple of other girls from the college, and listen to the opera. None of us had ever had much experience with listening to the opera, but they were very careful to point things out to us, and I think they wanted us to have that experience. And
Absolutely.
we enjoyed ourselves here. So.
Well, that's great. They certainly sounded like women that were very interested in women advancing themselves way before
Yes.
it was
Oh,
obviously very
right.
popular.
Absolutely.
And in the years that you're talking about when you were here, you know, women didn't have access like they have
That's
today.
right.
Right.
That's right.
And so it sounds like they were very, very instrumental in your success.
Absolutely.
And did we hear that they were wonderful instructors? And they were.
Oh, wow. Yes.
And they have a great reputation. Talk about them as teachers.
Strict.
Strict.
But I, you know, with the chemistry, it was not easy for me, and
It wasn't easy for me.
it was hard. But anyway, it was so good that when I got to Michigan State, I got to waive a class, you know, one of the chemistry classes, because I just had so much here that I just didn't need it. Thank goodness. But but you know, they were excellent instructors, but stern taskmasters.
They were.
And they taught you well.
Yes.
So good.
Yes. Well, they have a great reputation at the college.
Oh,
Obviously,
absolutely.
many of us did not know
No,
them, but their name is so well known
Yes.
by us at the college. And not just because of the house, but because they were on faculty.
Well, that's right.
And
They cared about people. They really did.
They really did.
They cared about us. You know, we knew that.
And, you know, they mentored girls, but they also did the same thing with some of the young men at the college, because Dr. Carpenter was in my class, and I know he has said that they were very important to his becoming a dentist. And so they mentored all students, I think. That, you know, if there's anyone who needed any mentoring, they were there for them.
well, there were a lot of pre-med students coming through the college that I know had both of them or one of them 4 classes.
That's
I know
right.
several doctors in town who
They-
came through here and remember them also.
But you see, when we were here, everybody was at war.
Yeah.
So we had maybe
first
8.
year.
Maybe we had 8 men in the whole class. So
The first year.
yes, the first
But
year.
remember when
yes.
they came back
Yes,
the
they came
second
back.
year?
But you know, that made quite a difference. You know, there was,
Interesting.
you know, maybe 8. That's probably about all we had that first year. So they were sort of not there.
Not
We
there.
didn't have to
It
think
was a
of
girls' school.
Yes, it was a girl.
Well, when I was here, there were quite a few of them.
Yeah,
because it was after the war.
That's because you were young.
I don't bring it in.
Oh yeah, you just don't then.
But Jackie, remember that young man that came back the second year, and he was married, and
Yes,
he had
Brower.
I'm talking about the one whose wife was not from the United States, and they had a baby, and Miss Marlowe and Miss McCabe, and all of us homemakerers, we made things for them, and we had a shower for them. So,
Oh, that's right.
yeah, I didn't think of that in a long, long time.
But that was the second year.
Yeah. Just think, a married man in our class.
It's great to think back and reflect.
Oh,
isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah.
It's a different world.
Tell us what you remember about the house that we call today the McCabe Marlow house. And what do you remember? I know all of you were here and spent time here, and some of you spent the night here with them. So what was it like, and what do you remember?
What? We just remember it being grand, but you know, it was just lovely. As we told you before, we'll tell on camera too about our experience coming here and staying with the dogs, those darling golden cockers, and it was just a wonderful experience. But we just really didn't quite know how to handle the house. It was so huge to us, and you know, after dark it gets kind of different in the house, and we had quite a time that weekend that we were here.
Yes, we did. It must have imprinted itself on
It did.
our mind.
It did.
Because here they were. The dogs would go down one stairs, and then as soon as we came down, they'd go up the other stairs. So it was like round and around all night long.
And do you remember their names?
The dogs?
No.
The dogs.
No,
I don't.
I remember that when they were puppies and were left home alone, they were in a playpen, a child's playpen. That's
Because they didn't like to be alone. I mean, I think they
Well,
destroyed curtains.
I think they did
Yes,
probably
yes.
a lot of things.
Yes.
They were puppies, but they had a playpen. So in a home where there were no children, there was a playpen, a dog pen.
And did they have hired help in the house?
I never saw
I
any.
don't think so.
You think they took care?
Maybe someone came to do heavy cleaning, but I almost doubt that.
Yeah. You think they
Sometimes
did it
we
themselves?
came and did things. If, for instance, if there was going to be a tea or something, some of us worked in the kitchen and made little sandwiches and that kind of thing. So
Sure.
we were not hired, but we were the help.
We were help.
You were interns.
We were.
Yeah, that's right.
We were being trained.
That's right.
And another thing I think that he did for me was taught me to appreciate antiques and old things, because you know they were collectors, and they were part of
yes.
the collectors
Right.
group in Grand Rapids. And I know I came to some meeting here, so they taught me to appreciate something that was old. And
Gosh, all I can remember is the jade.
They had a lot of jade, you said.
Oh,
and the carpets.
oh yes, yes, absolutely.
And didn't they have some connection with someone who was a missionary or something in India? Isn't that how they
Yes,
got their
that's
carpet
true.
and so forth?
Yeah,
Interesting.
but
And where did they get their jade? Just their travels, or?
I think probably that.
But I don't remember them talking about their travels. Do you?
No,
No, I don't.
So I don't know how
I don't
much they
think they
really
ever-
did
I
travel.
don't know either.
They just like jade.
Well, yes, but you know,
beautiful.
there lots of things. Yeah, I think I think a lot of this was family. You know,
Sure.
after all this, they didn't acquire all this from being teachers.
No. I think you're right.
And remember
Especially in
Miss
those
McCabe's
days.
ring?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we were impressed with that.
Very much so.
So
And it was a,
she was much more, should I say, fussy than Miss Marlowe. Miss Marlowe was very plain, wasn't
sure, she was an old shoe person.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. We called her an old shoe, but Miss McCabe was not.
More proper.
Yeah, more proper.
If that's correct.
That's correct.
But
Well,
delightful.
There's a romantic story about that.
Oh, okay, all right.
That was her engagement.
Oh,
Her
okay.
engagement ring.
And then her fiance was
was
killed
killed in an automobile
on a
accident, wasn't it?
Thanksgiving weekend.
Oh, is that right?
And someone told me, I don't remember who, but said she always kept the ring on, and when she walked home from the college, she always turned the ring in so that the diamond was on her palm, and so it wasn't evident to someone when she was walking.
Oh, sure. Okay. Protecting it, and yes.
But she also was very, very interested in her family. I mean,
Oh, yes.
the children and the nephews. I think it was nephews that that she was very, and I think these were McCabe's, weren't they? I'm pretty sure they were,
Well,
with the last name of McCabe, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah.
Yeah, but
So
she
I suppose
was,
it was her brother
yes.
and her brother's children's children.
But she was very interested in them and what they did. They were great on family. So.
It sounds like it. And obviously, an aunt and a niece living together and sharing expenses and all of that that's nice.
Yeah.
But they didn't always agree.
No.
I wouldn't expect that from them.
Now, Wilma, I don't really think that's true.
Is that right?
But I don't remember ever hearing Miss Marlowe say the same thing.
No.
Miss McCabe was the aunt,
Yes,
the
that's
older one,
right.
right? So Miss Marlowe knew her place.
Yes, she did.
Well, as I said earlier, one of the things that's very important to us is to be able to keep the house as part of Grand Rapids Community College through its foundation.
Yeah.
So what would you want to tell potential donors in terms of the importance of this house to the college and to the legacy of the college? What would you say?
It's really a part of the college's history because I never spent the night here, but I spent a lot of time here when I was in the college because I came here for meetings. They frequently had the women of the college come and as I say, we helped with teas and we did things here and it's just very much a part of the history of the college, I think.
Good.
And I like to think of it as being part of Grand Rapids Community College
do
now. I
too.
mean, I think about it. When I think about this house, I think about it in connection with Grand Rapids Community College. It's just, it'd be awful if it was separated, you know, and if it wasn't here. To be used, it can be used for so many things, and no, I just think it's terribly important that this be maintained.
And I think it's important that Grand Rapids Community College isn't a big university, but it does have roots, and this is part of it. And people like Phil and Jackie and I are not going to be here all that much longer, so I think it should be preserved as something concrete when those humans aren't here.
And you know, Grand Rapids JC was a very well thought of institution, and we certainly never had any trouble transferring to other schools. And I think that tradition has certainly continued on with Grand Rapids Community College, and I think it's important that this be maintained, because we are thought of well, this whole community, as far as the school goes.
That's right. That's right, and it is part of the legacy.
Oh yes.
And
Legacy, that's a good word. Thank you.
yes, and we really care about this place, obviously. And I want to thank you. Having you here is just an amazing thing for us to be able to hear your voices with that kind of experience, personal experience, both with Miss McCabe and Miss Marlowe, but also with the house. And we so appreciate this time with you and being able to get it on tape. And so thank
You're
you so
very
much
welcome.
for this time.
And you can call on us anytime when you need personal help.
Thank you.
Thank you so much too.
Thank you so much.